So the last example for completing the square. Let's recap over what the steps were. So step 1 was to make sure it's in standard form. Is this in standard form? Yes, it is in descending order and it's set equal to 0. The second step is to move the constant to the right side. We're going to change that. We're going to actually add on to the first step. So not only do you have to make sure that it's in standard form, you want to make sure that the coefficient, there is no more coefficient on the first term. So if there's a coefficient, let's say check for coefficient on first term. Right, there's two things to do in step 1. So not only does it need to be in standard form, but that coefficient on the first term needs to be gone. So how do we get rid of it? We can divide through the whole thing by that number. If we do it to this side, we have to do it to the other, right? The golden rule, or property of equality. So we have 2y squared over 2, if you want to break this down, 2y over 2 plus 5 over 2 is equal to 0 divided by 2 is just 0. Alright, so the 2's cancel here, they cancel here, and we're left over with y squared plus y plus 5 over 2 equals 0. So now we get back to step number 2, the original one, because we did step 1. Step 2 is to move the constant to the right side. Our constant is 5/2. So we'll have y squared plus y, skip a space to do step 3. We subtract 5/2 from both sides, we moved it to the right side now. Alright, so now we're going to take half of our b term, which is 1, and then we're going to square it. So we're going to take 1/2 and square it. 1/2 squared is 1/4. So that's what we're adding to both sides. Okay. Now we can go ahead and know that this is a perfect square trinomial. This is technically our step 4, I guess. I just never really wrote it like that. It would be y plus, and then we'd have to take the square root of 1/4, which we know is 1/2. And that is equal to this side of the equation, which we need to combine two fractions, we're going to have to give them a common denominator. So we're going to put it over 4. Remember, we had to multiply numerator and denominator by 2 to get this. Okay, so negative 10 and positive 1 make negative 9. So we have negative 9/4, and we have y plus 1/2 squared. Now we're ready to extract the square root. So we take the square root of both sides, and then we're left over with y plus 1/2 is equal to, now that negative, square root of negative 1 is going to come out as I. We already knew that. And you can actually break down this radical in the numerator and the denominator. Or you could just say square root of 9/4 is 3/2. So we have 3/2 I. So the last step is to subtract 1/2 from both sides. So we have negative 1/2. Oh, and we forgot, when we're extracting the square root, it's plus or minus. So we have plus or minus 3/2 I. And that would be your final answer. Yay! Alright, so now go ahead and try to do your homework. The assignment for this section, for 7.1, is in the written exercises on page 310. Yeah, page 310. Written exercises numbers 14 through 24, even only.